My name's Matt Matusky, and I'm the owner of Love Oysters. When I think of Great Bay, I think of pristine. It's one of the most least disturbed wetlands in the entire Northeast. So it's really unique in this little slice of wilderness that we have that's kind of in this very metropolitan area. I first felt connected to this area when I was a kid, actually. I remember growing up and going kayaking on the Mullica River and its tributaries and exploring the pine barrens. And it just happened to be that, you know, some of the oyster leases available in New Jersey were right at the mouth of the Mullica River in Great Bay. So I was very fortunate that I had this connection to the area throughout my whole childhood, my whole life growing up, and being able to, you know, really appreciate, you know, the Mullica River and the Great Bay estuary, and then now be working on it and making a living. But what really attracted me to oyster farming probably started when I was in college, and I studied marine biology at Rutgers and found out it wasn't quite as much as I thought. It wasn't quite what I thought it would be. It was a lot of lab work, a lot of science, a lot of math, and I really wanted to do something more personable and work outside and work with my hands, you know, and do something creative, and being able to connect to people and the food that they eat and the environment around me. And I found that I could more easily do that with oyster farming. It has really allowed me to connect, you know, with my local community, the food systems that we have in the state, and the environment. When I first started this, it really felt, you know, to be right for me. It was really who I was my whole life, you know, being able to, you know, work outside and really do something meaningful and impactful for the environment. That was like key stuff that I wanted in a career, you know, and to be able to find that and to do it so close to home in New Jersey, you know, is really special for me. Oysters have been very important to this region, you know, since before the colonial times. The Lenape Indians were relying on oysters in this area for food. There's shell piles, like ancient shell piles, remnants of oyster shells and clam shells and scallop shells in these salt marshes that, you know, kind of mark where these Native American villages were. And then from there, it transformed this area into a prosperous port town and tuckered it, really built on oysters and clams and being able to harvest those and then ship them to the cities by train or stagecoach. You know, this industry is really built on top of the people that came before us. You know, it took a while to get oysters back in these waters. They were wiped out by disease and overharvesting. And it was really the work through Rutgers and work through other baymen that started finding out new ways to grow shellfish. You know, how I grow shellfish with the floating aquaculture is very new, but it's allowed us to be able to grow oysters in areas that we normally wouldn't. And then Rutgers coming up with a disease-resistant oyster, you know, really helped make sure that we could let these populations thrive. All shellfish filter the water in some way, and the oysters are great filter feeders that pull out excess nutrients, mostly in the form of nitrogen or phytoplankton, which help clear the water up. It helps reduce the amount of algae in the water so other things can compete for other nutrients or sunlight. And the farms themselves actually have great benefit because the structure that we grow in supplies habitat that usually isn't always there. So other organisms, you know, small shrimp, small fish, use these farms as shelter to grow. And something else we're just kind of studying right now, and the science is kind of new, is how these farms and the structure that float on the surface reduce wave action. So there's even this component of preventing erosion against these salt marshes and these sedges. Working on the water requires a great deal of commune with nature. It does take a lot of planning around weather and tides. It does take a lot of understanding, you know, what's happening in the bay and what's growing when I can expect to see a higher growth for my oysters and when I can expect to do certain tasks. It's all dictated by nature and what's happening around me. So it's this great reliance on kind of not necessarily forcing myself or what I'm trying to do on the bay, but having the bay dictate that for me. It's always fun to see the growth I think, is the main thing. There's some lines, and especially if I have seed or in the cooler months in the winter when I'm not out as much, it might be a month since I touched a specific bag or specific cage or specific oyster. And then to go that amount of time and see the changes that happen, the growth that happened is really special. It makes you feel like you're part of something larger. Definitely feels like there's real meaning to this job, whether it's just, taking care of, 300,000 oysters or, knowing the impact that my farm has on the environment around me and even the local community and the economy. It does feel like you have a higher meaning with this type of work. I think it really is this idea that it takes a village. And, even though this is my farm and I'm the only person working it, there's so much support around me to see this succeed, whether it be, my family and friends, but also in the local community. The guys who own the marina that I run out of is very supportive of what I do, very interested in what I do. Even the local mechanics or fishermen that want to come help out on the day for a day on the boat or a day on the farm. And I'm very fortunate, even though my farm's kind of close to some of these lagoon communities, some of these houses. All the neighbors have been very positive and think of what I do as a great benefit for them. So it really is built upon the shoulders of giants, all these people that came before me, and also all the people that are here now supporting me. I think there's a great benefit in eating something that's produced locally. I think it really connects you to your community. Working on the water has definitely taught me resilience. You never know what could possibly go wrong or what might happen. Mother Nature loves to throw curveballs at you, but because of the nature of the work with the tides and the weather, you can't pout, you can't get down on yourself, you can't be woe is me. You have to just get out there and get the work done and find a solution